China is facing massive global revolt after introducing the national security law in Hong Kong. In fact, now we're cutting across to Beijing, where China's foreign ministry spokesperson is addressing the media.
There is no place for foreign interference. The Chinese government is firmly determined in upholding national sovereignty, security, and development interests. As to your second question, China deplores and firmly opposes the U.S. Congress adopting of the relevant negative Hong Kong-related acts. China stated its solemn position on the national security law many times. The law has been passed by the NPC Standing Committee and entered into force. This law provides strong institutional and legal guarantees for upholding national sovereignty, security, development interests, long-term stability and prosperity in Hong Kong, and the steady and sustained implementation of one country, two systems. It has been well received and supported by the Hong Kong compatriots and other Chinese nationals. The Hong Kong affairs, including this national security law, are purely China's internal affairs, which allow no foreign interference. No matter how the foreign forces try to pressure us, they will never succeed in wavering our will and determination in safeguarding national security and upholding the prosperity and stability in Hong Kong. The U.S. attempt to obstruct this law is doomed to fail. We urge the side to grasp the situation, abide by basic norms of international law and international relations, stop interfering in Hong Kong affairs, and advancing or implementing this negative bill. Otherwise, we will take strong countermeasures, and they have to bear all the consequences. Certain people in the U.S. are ill-intentioned and spare no effort to incite and create the so-called beautiful site. We hope they will leave such beautiful sites to themselves. Next question. CNR. According to reports, the Security Council yesterday adopted a resolution on COVID-19 and also adopted a global ceasefire agreement. Do you have any comment? China welcomes the adopted resolution on COVID-19 by the Security Council through consensus. We vote yes to this resolution. This resolution calls for support of the Secretary General's Global Ceasefire Initiative and also chart a course for increasing humanitarian assistance, anti-terrorism, and peacekeeping against the pandemic. The adoption of this resolution shows that the international community has a consensus on strengthening UN's role in fighting the pandemic. It also shows the leadership of the Security Council and marks a victory in multilateralism. The Security Council shoulders the prior responsibility in upholding international peace and security. At this crucial moment in a global fight against the COVID-19, Security Council has the obligation and responsibility to take action within its mandate. We are glad to see that Security Council adopts this resolution. And against the odds from certain countries, we call on all parties to practice the concept of a community with a shared future for mankind, as well as multilateralism, to stand in solidarity to fight the pandemic, uphold the Charter, UN Charter, and uphold the UN-centered international system. We will work with other parties to implement this resolution and support the performance of the Security Council's mandate as well as its role. Next question. Global Times. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo recently said in a statement that the Hong Kong national security law violates the human rights and the fundamental freedoms in Hong Kong. Do you have any comments? Day after day, Mr. Pompeo's lies and rumors demonstrate nothing but ignorance and prejudice. First, he is ignorant about the national security law. Dragging human rights into this issue is just a fact distorting. The law stipulates that human rights shall be respected and protected in safeguarding national security in the Hong Kong SAR, and the rights which the residents of the region enjoy under the Basic Law and provisions of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights as applied to Hong Kong shall be protected in accordance with the law. The law protects the overwhelming majority of people while punishing only a very small number of perpetrators. After it is enacted, Hong Kong will enjoy more stable social order and a better business environment where Hong Kong residents and foreign investors can all benefit. Second, he is ignorant about one country, two systems. The Chinese government is determined in implementing the basic state policy of one country, two systems. And by approving this law, our aim is to improve and better act on one country, two systems and ensure its exact and steady implementation rather than to change it. Third, he is ignorant about the Sino-British Joint Declaration. After Hong Kong's return to the motherland, all the provisions concerning the British signed in the Joint Declaration were fulfilled. The basic policies regarding Hong Kong declared by China in the Joint Declaration are China's statement of policies, not commitment to the UK, and they certainly have nothing to do with the US. And fourth, he is ignorant about international law and basic norms governing international relations. It is consistent with the purposes and the principles of the UN Charter to respect other countries' sovereignty and refrain from interfering in others' internal affairs. It is completely China's internal affair to make a law on safeguarding national security in a subnational administrative region. Is the U.S. in any way qualified to utter wanton comments on that? The reason why Mr. Pompeo and his like make such a fuss about the law is that they won't be able to jeopardize China's sovereignty and security in as reckless and unchecked way as before. The law is like a burglar-proof door for Hong Kong. We're sure it will help getting Hong Kong back onto the track where it is proudly named the Pearl of the Orient. We have every confidence in this. Next question.
Thank you. Therefore, is China concerned
中方是否担
the
心
impact of the Hong Kong national security law on its
香港
relations with
国安
other
法
countries, in particular the U.S.?
可能会影响到它和美国及其他国家之间的关系？你是否对此感到担忧？
从香港的安全相比，
Compared with the security of Hong
我们
Kong,
与其他国家的关系
our relation with other
哪一个更重
countries,
要？因为
which is more important? I think the answer is
香港国
too
安法
clear.
充分考虑的维护国家安
The
全的
national
现实必要
security law takes into the consideration of upholding the security in Hong Kong and the realistic conditions.
和执行机制
And we have made systematic and comprehensive promulgations
区的限制制度
to uphold the constitutional order in Hong Kong, which demonstrates the inherent requirement of the one country, two systems. The law targets 4 categories of crimes that gravely jeopardize the national security. It punishes only a few criminals and protects the overwhelming majority. After this law is passed, the legal system will be improved, and Hong Kong will enjoy better and more steady environment, and all, whether at home and from abroad, will benefit from it. We are fully confident in the bright future of Hong Kong. Any force or any situation will never waver the Chinese government and the people's will and determination in upholding our national sovereignty and Hong Kong's security. Any attempts to use Hong Kong to jeopardize China's sovereignty, security, and development interests will never succeed. Next question.
News
英国独立电视台，中国驻英国使馆说，中方将采取相应的措施，如果英方针对国安法采取行为的话，你能否举例说明中方将会采取什么反制措施？ Like I clearly said yesterday, just now, I made clear China's position.
Just from the BBC, just a follow-up question on that previous question. You said that China
想追问一下，
reserves the right
你说中方
to sort of response.
保留进一步做出反应的权利。
Has said basically this is happening.
那么现在，
You said the same thing in May, I think, that China
英国政府表示他们已经采取了行动。
will be the point at which China will actually act.
那么中方到底会在什么时候采取相应的措施呢？
To actually say, okay,
中方会采取怎么样、何种类型的措施
请你耐心等待。
？Please wait patiently. This is not the time. Next question.
来，先后面那位女士，第二排。
谢谢发言人。北京新京报记者提问。
Beijing News Daily. The Venezuela National Electoral Council said they will hold the parliamentary elections in December. But Guaido said he would boycott this election. What's your comment? China believes that the holding of the National Assembly parliamentary elections in Venezuela should be respected and supported, as it will help make the public opinions heard and restore normal order. China always supports Venezuela's government and opposition in resolving differences through dialogue and consultation in accordance with its constitution and within legal framework. We hope the international community will play a constructive role in this regard. Next question. Shenzhen TV. Recently, the EU criticized the human rights situation in Xinjiang at the UN Human Rights Council. In the meantime, 46 countries in a joint statement voiced their support for China's position and expressed opposition of politicizing human rights issue. What's your comment? Since last year, in response to several countries' practice of hyping up Xinjiang-related human rights matters on multilateral occasions, a large number of friendly countries and developing countries have been voicing their support for China's achievements in counterterrorism and de-radicalization in Xinjiang. as well as China's measures to guarantee the human rights of all ethnic groups in Xinjiang according to law. And they opposed interference in China's internal affairs under the pretext of human rights. In the latest Human Rights Council session, 46 countries overwhelmingly reaffirmed their support for China's Xinjiang policy, and the attempt of several Western countries to smear China failed again. I must point out that Xinjiang-related issues are not about human rights, ethnicity, or religion, as some forces claimed, but about countering violence, terrorism, and separatism. Faced with severe challenges of violence and terrorism, the Chinese government took a series of anti-terrorism and deradicalization measures in Xinjiang to combat these activities and prevent their reoccurrence, which address both the symptoms and root causes. These measures, in compliance with Chinese laws, are China's concrete and effective steps in implementing international initiatives on counterterrorism and deradicalization. Thanks to these measures, Xinjiang hasn't seen a single terrorist incident over the past 3 years, and people's rights to life, health, and development have been effectively safeguarded. It is universally acknowledged by the international community that China has contributed to world human rights cause and global counter-terrorism efforts. China will continue working with our sides to keep multilateral human rights mechanisms committed to the purpose and principles of the UN Charter, dealing with human rights issues in an objective, impartial, and unselective manner, and promoting the sound development of international human rights cause through constructive dialogue and cooperation. We oppose interference in other countries' internal affairs under the guise of human rights, and we urge relevant countries to change course, reject politicization and double standards, stop interfering in other countries' domestic affairs under the guise of human rights. Next question. Xinhua News Agency. Russia's national referendum on constitutional amendments came to a close on the night of July the 1st, and the Elections Commission counted 100% of the votes, of which 70% are in favor. Do you have any comment? We know that the national referendum on constitutional amendments, a major event in Russia's political calendar, is going on smoothly. The results released by the Central Elections Commission reflect the Russian people's choice. As Russia's friendly neighbor and a comprehensive strategic partner of coordination for a new era, China will always respect the development path independently chosen by the Russian people and support Russia's efforts to realize lasting stability and promote socio-economic development. We stand ready to work with the Russian side to act on a consensus between our heads of state, deepen all-round strategic coordination and mutually beneficial cooperation to bring greater benefits to our two peoples. Next question.
It's another follow-up question on this, the matter regarding the passports.
另一个关于 BNO 问题，
I think in the past,
我认为在过去此前，
this move by Britain
你说过英方的这一举动
potentially illegal because there have been
是
promises
非法的，
memoranda from the British side.
因为英方此前
Memoranda, is it part of
在
the joint declaration?
一个 memorandum 中有提到这一点。你可以具体的说一说到底是什么样的条文吗？中国和英国之间
Documents that Britain has signed making these promises that the Chinese side now says they are in breach of.
在什么文件中英方所说的话使得中方是认为这个是违法的 ？Is there any difference?
Just so we can report it, we'd like to be able to say what.
我们是为了在写报道的时候可以援引一个具体的出处。
Which
这是一个备忘录，是两国
This is memorandum
两国政府之间签署
between the two governments signed.
Part of the joint declaration.
是在中英联合声明当中的吗？
去核实。
I can check that later, but this memorandum has been signed between the two governments.
All right, so that was the spokesperson of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Zhao Lijian, there coming out and putting forth a clarification after the statements that were put forth by Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State of the United States. And also remember, there's a lot that's being said about the security law that's been brought about by Beijing that will be applicable on Hong Kong, that's already come into effect from the 1st of July. China, however, says that the security law that's now been enacted in Hong Kong is purely its own internal security matter. But China also quite clearly feeling the heat for carrying out what many are saying is a law that effectively ends the one state, two systems principle in governing Hong Kong. Now, Zhao Lijian said that Pompeo is ignorant about the one country, two systems principle. He's also ignorant about the international laws. A sharp reaction by the Chinese there. Let's listen in to what Zhao Lijian has, in fact, had to say.
Yesterday, the Chinese Communist Party implemented its draconian national security law on Hong Kong in violation of commitments that it made to the Hong Kong people and to the United Kingdom, in a UN-registered treaty, and in contravention of Hong Kongers' human rights and fundamental freedoms. Free Hong Kong was one of the world's most stable, prosperous, and dynamic cities. Now it will be just another communist-run city where its people will be subject to the party elite's whims. It's sad. This is already happening. Security forces are already rounding up Hong Kongers for daring to speak and think freely. The rule of law has been eviscerated. And as always, the Chinese Communist Party fears its own people more than anything else. The United States is deeply concerned about the law's sweeping provisions and the safety of everyone living in the territory, including Americans. Article 38 of the new law also purports to apply to offenses committed outside of Hong Kong by non-residents of Hong Kong, and this likely includes